This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, hello there friends, Ray DeLesio, mi casa es su casa. As much as I like Kenny, him and I are still keeping our social distance as we maneuver through this COVID-19 maze of sorts. That's why I'm coming to you this week from the comforts of my home in Henry County. Oh, but Kenny doesn't get off that easy. He's holding down the fort in Macon and joins us now with what all is coming up on today's show. Hey, Kenny.
Hey, Ray. Yeah, we've really got a great lineup for you this week. Straight ahead, John Holcomb reports on the current growing season, and as you might imagine, there's some concern about a number of commodities, including cotton and peanuts. On a brighter note, this Sumter County doctor is now filling a huge need in Georgia, the need for traveling large animal veterinarians. Not the best time to be starting a new business, but hear why she feels the timing was right. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor.
All right, Kenny, we'll see you again in just a few minutes. First order of business, the 2020 growing season, which, unlike a lot of things, hasn't slowed down a bit. It's moving full steam ahead and has many of you asking the same questions. Hopefully, we can answer them. Here's John Holcomb.
For the first time in what feels like forever, things aren't too bad for producers. The weather is halfway cooperating, and soil conditions are near perfect. The only thing that isn't great are the prices and market optimism. Spring has sprung here in Georgia, which means farmers are busy in their fields getting their 2020 crops in the ground. One of those farmers is Lee Cromley, a producer in Bullitt County. This year will be his 40th crop, and told me that things are going well for them, but they're battling the weather, trying to get their crop in the ground.
We generally try to plant a lot of our peanuts first. We were delayed this year on the peanut planting a little bit by wet weather. We kept getting these heavy rains, and just conditions were not right for planting for a while. So we're just getting started. We got a few hundred acres planted. Cotton is kind of the same way. We started this week planting cotton, but actually have stopped for a couple of days. The weather forecast is talking about mid-40s for the next 4 or 5 nights, and that's really not, that scares me a little bit about getting cotton up. It doesn't like the cool dirt. We're not that far behind. I'd say we're maybe a few days behind on peanut planting, but we're really not that far behind. We're kind of where we want to be. It's just that we're having to deal with wet ground that kind of slows us down and limits where we can go.
This year, though, is already a unique one and is looking to be a not-so-great year for commodity prices as the COVID-19 pandemic has basically halted trade as countries struggle to fight the virus and get their economies back up and running.
Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. I've seen uncertainty before, but this brings a different level of uncertainty, especially in the cotton market. We depend so much on exports, and the pandemic has really brought that to a screeching halt, and so it's affected our prices significantly.
But sadly, there's not a whole lot they can do about it. As much as they would like to change things around or grow more peanuts that have a more domestic optimism, there are several things that prevent that.
A lot of what determines our mix of crop is rotation. You're limited on peanut rotation and equipment. Those are the two things that really determine is a lot of what we do. The cotton prices are really bad right now, and there's not a lot of hope for it getting a lot better. But we're cotton growers. We got the equipment, we got the cotton harvester, so we're kind of married to it. We can't change back and forth too much. It's just a reality of cotton and peanut growers is that while prices are telling us to shift to another crop, it's just not that easy to shift with all of our fixed costs in it. We have to continue to plant the crop and hope prices will rally.
But just like a good farmer, Cromley is hopeful things will turn around.
We always are eternal optimists. We always think the next year is going to be better, and some years come along every now and then, like 2012 for us, that keep you going for a few years. Not just economically, but mentally, that give you encouragement and hope, and so we're always looking for those type of years.
Reporting in Bullitt County for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
All right, John, thank you so much. Meantime, Georgia dairy farmers, along with Dairy Farmers of America, have partnered with Kroger to give 24,000 half gallons of milk to first responders and healthcare workers around the state as part of the Georgia Give campaign. The second of 4 stops was in Macon, where they were not only able to spread awareness about a struggling dairy industry, but also show their appreciation for those on the front lines during the coronavirus pandemic.
Dairy is one of the most important commodities that we have, and to be able to call out everything that's going on with dairy, as well as to be able to save some of the milk that's being thrown away, and then again get it to people that really are making a difference in this epidemic. We're just very, very excited to be able to do that.
Well, as bad as this pandemic has been and will continue to be for the foreseeable future, one thing it's done, it's really brought people together and given some a reason to give back to the community. Kenny joins us again with a story out of South Georgia where the giving involves some chops, some ribs, maybe a Boston butt or two. Some tasty stuff, right, Kenny?
Oh, yeah, Ray. And you mentioned it, with the need for food donations at an all-time high, Georgia farmers have really stepped up to the plate and are giving at record levels. And thanks to a new charity in Quitman, Georgia, those donations also include fresh, premium quality meat, as Damon Jones reports.
While non-perishable and prepackaged goods might be the staple of a typical food donation, a new nonprofit called the Plentiful Pig is now providing some protein. It's calling that Thompson Farms out in Brooks County was more than happy to answer, especially considering just how much of a need there is during these tough times.
Well, I think we all realize how important it is to help our neighbor right now, especially during this pandemic. And one way that you can do that is by providing them with pork, with meat, with good pasture-raised meat, and we're able to do that. So far, since we launched the Plentiful Pig in March, we've donated around a little over 2,000 pounds of pork.
An impressive amount in such a short period of time, as the Plentiful Pig helps out a number of different organizations all around the state.
We decided to go ahead and jumpstart the Plentiful Pig with all that was going on during COVID-19, and we're so glad that we did, because we've been able to really help some of the local food banks and women's shelters and some of the wounded warrior veterans around the area. Not only in Brooks County, but also in up to North Georgia as well.
And it's not just the amount of meat donated that's notable, but also the quality. Here at Thompson Farms, they go the extra mile to ensure that every shipment reaches their high standards.
Thompson Farms is a pasture-raised pig farm, as you can see. All of our pigs are raised on beautiful green pasture. They're rotated every week to make sure they always have something green and healthy to eat. We also give them non-GMO corn and non-GMO soybean meal. So we are actually very concerned with animal welfare out here. Our pigs are happy and healthy. We want to make sure that we're providing the cleanest, most healthiest pork to our customers.
Unlike many other operations, the pigs are raised and processed right here on the farm, which allows the Plentiful Pig to keep up with the heavy demands during this trying time.
We hope that we can feed lots of people that are hungry and that are in need right now. Not only right now, but in the future, there's always going to be a need for this. And we, like I said, we do everything ourselves, so we have a hand on the whole process from start to finish. We believe that with your help, we can make a huge impact to those who are struggling right now and who are in need of good quality protein. 100% of your donations will go directly to providing pasture-raised pork to those in need.
And for those looking to help out, the Plentiful Pig has made it easier than ever to donate to the cause.
They can donate online at theplentifulpig.org. Or you can call us and donate over the phone, or send a check by mail to Thompson Farms. You can Google the Plentiful Pig, and all that information is listed.
Reporting from Brooks County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thank you so much. Now, when we come back, after years of believing it was her calling, this Sumter County veterinarian took a leap of faith and is now officially on call.
My name's Shan Kamek. I'm a Wildlife Biologist 3 with the Department of Natural Resources Wildlife Conservation Section. I am a wildland firelighter. I train seasonal fire crews to do prescribed burning, and we manage habitat for rare species across the state of Georgia. I do all the training and refreshers, I train all the new people, even help the interagency burn team, people like the Nature Conservancy, Georgia Forestry, and Forest Service, Longleaf Alliance, and Orion. We train all their seasonal fire crews, and it's a really great cooperation, all burning in the name of biodiversity. I grew up in Kentucky on a farm, went to college and got an English degree of all things. I was lost and aimless and landed with an internship with the Nature Conservancy. Loved it. We were just starting to build a prescribed fire program in Kentucky when they kicked me out. They said, hey, if you want a career in wildlife management, you got to get a master's degree. University of Georgia offered me the best gig. After grad school, I was a volunteer for the Nature Conservancy, got a part-time job with DNR, and it built into building an eco-burning empire. Fire is a natural process in Georgia, and it's the most important tool that we have to manage wildlife habitat. So as we buy new properties, we need more fire on the ground. Private lands are also super important for burning, so we need to have a lot of technical assistance, training. Today we had a controlled burn in some old longleaf woods. It's full of gopher tortoises, indigo snakes, all kinds of cool critters. We also had an educational component. Burner Bob, the mascot for prescribed burning. He was out in the woods developing some educational materials for kids. Georgia used to burn often in the springtime, with lightning season fire, so we like to mimic that natural growing season fire. And my motto is, pyrodiversity enkindles biodiversity.
All right, Ray DeLessio, deep in the heart of Henry County as we continue to social distance here on the Farm Monitor. Have truck, will travel. That's Allie Reed's motto. However, this Sumter County doctor really has no choice in the matter. You see, the patients she treats are rather large, and they don't do very well in the car. They tend to get claustrophobic. But that's okay, because this all-American Southern-born country girl wouldn't have it any other way. Say hello to Allie and her trusty quarter horse whiskey. Yeah, these two have a real special bond. Then again, Allie bonds with every large animal she encounters. It's a gift, and one she's had for as long as she can remember. And that gift is a big reason why Allie dedicated 8 years of her life to UGA and the College of Veterinary Medicine. Now 2 years removed from Athens, Dr. Allie is living out a dream, having recently launched her very own mobile veterinary clinic.
I absolutely have loved animals, the generic, love animals type deal. But then, growing up on a farm and seeing my granddaddy and each of my granddaddies, raising beef cattle and, producing hogs, my love for agriculture just always played a part from a young age.
So as you can see, Allie's ag roots run deep. In addition to her grandfather's, Dad William is a former row crop farmer and irrigation specialist. Nowadays, though, he's retired and spends most of his time tooling around the property on his trusty tractor. And by the way, that's just one of many he owns.
So this is my dad's, I guess you would say, rather large tractor collection. With him being a row crop farmer, we've always had a passion for John Deere tractors, but his kind of goes a bit further than anybody else's, I would say.
Yeah, I know, has nothing to do with veterinary medicine. But Allie's proud of it and calls it her favorite place on the property. Naturally, her other favorite spot is anywhere there's an animal. Doesn't matter if it's a large animal or a small one. Although Allie admits she's kind of partial to cattle. And more importantly, she loves being outside and on the farm. A big reason why she opened a mobile vet business and not the traditional office type.
So one, I do not like to be cooped up inside all day long. I do not want to sit in a clinic behind a desk or, in an exam room. That's just not, I enjoy small animal medicine, but I hate that you have to be inside all day long. And so I'm fortunate that I get to be outside, with the animals. And I also, my love for agriculture, and I truly want to be able to help farmers and producers in producing the best end product that they can possibly do. You know, and not all cattle or, you know, food animal are going to enter the food chain, and a lot of them are pets, but you still just get to be out there with them and, you know, help them with their passion, because farmers are passionate about what they do as well. And so it's kind of a team effort in, you know, getting to that end product should it enter the food chain. I guess in a perfect world, this business would take off to the point where I wouldn't really need to supplement my income with small animal clinical work, even though I do enjoy it. So my goal, I guess, in the next year is to prove to myself and I guess make it happen, or see if it's going to happen, where I could be a full-time large animal veterinarian and not need, you know, to spend days in the small animal clinic to supplement my income.
Yeah, bright future for that young lady, and we certainly wish her the best. Well, when we come back, does social distancing and remote learning have you going batty? Paul Pugliese has a great way to relieve some stress and help get those kids away from the computer. Stay tuned.
As we all know, the levels of gases that are in the atmosphere are changing the temperature all over the world. Those temperature changes cause major issues with weather and how unpredictable it can be and the extreme events that we're getting. But temperature changes also mean that we're changing how our plants grow and how pests, disease, and weeds spread. And all of these things have a major impact on how our farmers are farming their land. So we can address these things in agricultural lands because it's the largest land base that we have to store carbon. So how our farmers use management to store carbon in their soils has a benefit both to the globe, but also to their individual businesses, because we can improve soil fertility by bringing more carbon into agricultural systems.
So one of the great things about USDA ARS is that there's a national network of different sites and experiments where we look at ways of increasing carbon back into our soils. One of the ways we do that is by looking at different treatments. For example, we might use more conservation practices that mimic what actual producers use. And we then monitor our soil changes, particularly how our carbon changes in the soil over time. Other things we do is we monitor greenhouse gas emissions that are coming off from our soils. We also look at how fertility changes and how different crop rotations impact changes in our soil carbon as well.
I think it's important that our farmers have the tools to be able to deal with these problems. For many, many years, our farmers have very proudly fed the world. And I think that they can also very proudly protect the world too. I think in the future, we're looking at more and more technology to help us solve these problems. So we're moving into what we're calling a digital age of agriculture, that we'll be able to use big data sets, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to really look at things not only at a finer scale within the field to manage within the field with precision ag techniques, but also to look at the landscape level and look farther out beyond the farm so that we can really target practices on the landscape to help protect our water quality and air quality.
Finally this week, as you may already know, many school districts are winding down this new era of remote learning, which for a lot of parents couldn't happen soon enough. But with most daycares and summer camps still closed, now comes the dilemma of trying to keep the kids busy. Extension specialist Paul Pugliese has a solution.
Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today I want to talk to you about gardening with children. I have a 5-year-old boy at home, and we like to get him out in the garden. And I'm a firm believer that anybody that has a child should either have a garden at home for that kid to get a good gardening experience, or help your local school start a children's garden. It's a great experience for kids to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math, all those STEM sciences that are really important to developing that young person. So when you're looking at developing a school garden or a garden at home, you may want to start with a raised bed garden. It's a lot easier, it's a smaller space that you can easily tackle, and it's going to be a space that's easier for that young person to be able to work that area as well. One of the things you want to consider too is the size of the bed. Make sure they're not any wider than maybe 3 or 4 feet wide so they can easily reach over that bed without having to walk in it. That's the whole point of a raised bed garden, is to not have to walk in it and not have to compact that soil. So once you get your garden built, you can make it out of boards, you can make it out of concrete blocks. I've found concrete blocks are actually one of the cheapest and easiest things you can do to make a raised bed garden. They're about 8 inches deep, which is just right. You can even fill the holes with topsoil and plant in the holes too. So again, make it a fun experience and make it something that's manageable for your school or your backyard garden. As far as what to plant, if you're looking at a school garden, consider only planting leafy greens and root crops in the wintertime like carrots and lettuce and kale, those things that'll survive the cooler months of the year. In the summertime, if you're not using that garden, especially a school garden, it's important to cover that garden with clear plastic and kind of let it take some time off in the summertime, because the last thing you want it to do is grow up in weeds and come back beginning of the next school year and have to pull weeds and do a lot of maintenance work to get it back up and running again. So it's okay to take the time off and just cover that garden, like I said, with plastic. That's the best way to put it in time out. Probably the most important thing when you're working with kids is to make sure you have kid-sized appropriate tools. And that means making sure you invest in gloves and tools and things that they can actually use in the garden, whether it's pulling weeds, watering the plants. There's small water buckets and things that are appropriate for kids that they can pick up. There's all kinds of things that they can do in the garden. And sometimes the plastic tools that you use in a sandbox might work, but they actually have real tools that work even better and last a little bit longer that are kid-sized as well. So consider investing in those nicer tools, especially if you're going to have a school garden and continue to use this for many years. There's a lot of good options. Most hardware stores and the local feed and seed stores will carry some of these tools and things that you can do to keep your children occupied. Again, try to make it fun. Make sure you get a wheelbarrow, make sure you get them a little lawnmower or something that they can feel like they're involved with that gardening experience. That's so important to keep them involved throughout the year, even if it's something really small that they can do to keep them occupied. Something else to really encourage young people is to make sure you buy books and read to them every night and teach them about gardening. They're going to learn a lot with those stories during that story time. There's a lot of good books out there, everything from Diary of a Worm, which is one of my favorite ones if you want to learn about composting, The Secret of the Apple Tree, even Dr. Seuss and Curious George have books on gardening that you can use with your kids. So there's all kinds of age-appropriate books about gardening, and so make sure you invest in those with your children. The last thing, the most important thing, is that those kids actually get to taste their hard work, and they get to harvest it out of the garden and enjoy it on their plate. So that's something that I would encourage you to do. It encourages kids to eat more vegetables, which is probably not a bad thing, and we all need to eat more vegetables at the end of the day anyway. So getting them involved with growing them, cooking them, even preserving them and canning them, all the way farm to table is part of that experience as well. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to call your local county extension office or go to our website at ugaextension.com, and be sure to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Paul, thanks so much, and thank you for watching the Farm Monitor. Ray, we started the show with you, so how about we end it with you?
All right, thank you, Kenny. Yes, I'm one of those parents who will not miss remote learning teachers. Let me just say, do not get paid enough for what they do. They are special, that's for sure. For Kenny B and the rest of the gang, I'm Ray DeLessio saying take care, be safe, and we'll see you back here next week on the Farm Monitor. See you.